Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, in latest news in regards to Star Wars, Marcia Lucas has expressed her opinion that she didn't much care for the sequels. And I really just have to ask for the people who are promoting these articles around, do you actually give a shit? I mean really, this is her opinion that we're getting now, something like 2.5 years now that the prequels have concluded? So yeah, it's not like anyone was really rushing out to get her opinion as the films were being made. No. This is just something someone dug up in a biography in passing, found her opinion that they could cherry pick from, and now they're standing on her shoulders and hoisting it up and trumpeting it to the internet, thinking they've got some groundbreaking news. And what I find so interesting is that these news articles tend to only promote half of what she had to say, because she also had her opinions about the prequel trilogy, but that's never really promoted, or even if it's included in the article itself, how is the article titled? Oh, Marcia slams, Marcia destroys the sequel trilogy. But there's no mention about the prequel trilogy at all, which to me just says, I don't give a shit about your opinion about other subjects, I'm just taking this from what you've had to say because this is what I can sell. And because so many people have taken to such an unfair standard by promoting only half of what she had to say, I've decided to take it upon myself to take both sections of what she had to say about both the sequels and the prequels and compare the two and see which trilogy actually gets slammed. So let's get started. Marcia Lucas slams Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy and The Force Awakens director J.J. Abrams, arguing they don't have a clue about Star Wars and criticizing the direction to kill off franchise icon Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. They don't get it, Lucas writes, and J.J. Abrams is writing these stories. When I saw the movie where they killed Han Solo, I was furious. Absolutely, positively, there was no rhyme or reason for it. I thought, you don't get the Jedi story. You don't get the magic of Star Wars. You're getting rid of Han Solo. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna stop right here because we're already entering territory that doesn't make any sense. Because, especially when she says things like, oh, Han Solo died for no rhyme or reason. It just didn't make any sense. Really? Out of anyone who's been involved in Star Wars, Marcia probably should have been one of the primary people to know that Han's death was kind of always on the table, especially during the making of the original trilogy, because it's well known now that there was a real concern about getting Harrison Ford to come back to keep playing Han Solo, because he's famously known for having not liked being a part of Star Wars to begin with. So much so that they had a contingency plan just in case they couldn't get him back to kill off his character. Because if anyone involved in the making of Star Wars should know that Han's death was always on the table, Marcia probably should have been one of the frontrunners. And never mind the fact that this was a condition asked by Harrison Ford for his character Han Solo to be killed off in that movie, because he didn't want to keep doing the Star Wars films anymore. So really, if Marcia has any actual complaints about the sequels, she shouldn't be taking it up with Kennedy or J.J. Abrams. She should be laying that at the feet of Harrison Ford. And frankly, it makes far more sense to me that Han Solo would try and do something as noble as reach out to his child and try and convince them to come back to the light by reaching out to that goodness that he knows is still in him and being tragically cut down because he got too close to someone who was mentally unstable, as Kylo was. Then, oh, Han dies in episode 6 because he died in carbonite. Compare the two. Which one is a death with more rhyme or reason behind it? And never mind talking about Luke's death where he accomplishes something that is objectively the most Jedi thing ever done in all of Star Wars by sacrificing himself to stop violence without committing violence onto either party and then perpetuate the damage and the fighting and the killing and the war. So the idea that JJ or Ryan or Kennedy doesn't know a thing about Star Wars is just starting to sound preposterous. But let's jump over to her opinion about the prequels, because I think she's had something to say about that which I find far more interesting. Where she's reportedly as saying, Marcia Lucas was so disappointed with the fandom menace that she cried in her car. She says she didn't think it was very good at all. Her disappointment seemed to stem from a lack of imagination and George Lucas not utilizing such a rich to its full potential. Okay, there's a misspelling or some kind there's some errors in this article, but we're going to move on from that, which resulted in the movie that's a far cry from its predecessor. And I thought it was weird that the story was about this little boy who looked like he was 6 years old, but then later on he's supposed to get with this princess who looked like she was 20 years old, which I have to agree with, because that has been a long-standing complaint for myself with the prequel trilogies, because the visual of this is just so off-putting, because you have, like Marcia suggests, a 9-year-old actor who looks like a 6-year-old, and he's supposed to be getting set up in this romantic relationship with Natalie Portman's character, Padme, who looks like a 20-year-old. And I already know what the argument's going to be for some of you people. What? Stop being gross. It's not like that. Okay, 2 problems with that. First of all, why was it so important to get a 9-year-old actor to play a 9-year-old character, but they needed to have a 18 to 20-year-old actress play a 14 to 16-year-old girl, especially when in the very next movie they replaced Jake Lloyd with Hayden Christensen. So it's not like they needed to have the same actors play the same characters for the next 2 films, because they replaced one of them. And 2, they still end up hooking up together. So regardless, no matter how you try and spin this or do whatever mental gymnastics you need to do, at the end of the day, they're still set up as a romantic item. This right here, between these 2 characters, is a thing. It's a romance that they're building between these 2 characters. And it's very creepy looking, because one looks objectively like an adult and the other looks like he's still in elementary school. We have a word we would call that, but I'm not going to use it here because it's very uncomfortable to connect that with Star Wars. All right? Oh, and by the way, might I add, do they ever discuss Padme's age in the movies? No? Then weird how so many people would come to the conclusion that someone who looks like a 20-year-old is getting set up in a romantic relationship with a 9-year-old that looks like a 6-year-old. So frankly, I'm not going to bother reading her other comments about the sequel trilogy, because in all frankness, the creepy factor of her complaint about episode 1 of The Phantom Menace pretty much supersedes literally anything else she could say to criticize the sequels. So in my opinion, frankly, I think that Marcia slammed the prequels far more than she did the sequels. It's just very convenient that the news article, that certain people only promoted the sequel article and said absolutely nothing about the prequel article. It's very, very interesting. Very telling. Anyway, that's just my opinion on this subject. I just thought I'd give you my 2 cents on the whole thing, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more, please give me a subscribe. If you think I earned it, give me a like. And if you think I didn't earn it, or you think I'm just a turd muffin, by all means, give me a dislike and a very nasty comment in the comment section below. I love reading those. So, with all that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. See ya.